Welcome back, guys. So last time we built this portfolio website. So if I just go to our web browser, you can see it's running here in our local host. And this is what we built last time as a basic portfolio website, and we also hosted this on GitHub pages. So if you haven't seen that, or if you want to know how to do that, just check out the previous videos on this. So in this video, what I would like to do is I would like to add another section onto this website called videos. And then what I want to do is I want to pull in videos from a playlist on YouTube. The idea is that these videos that I'm making now is the videos that I eventually want to show in this video section. But for now, we'll just pull in a random YouTube channel or YouTube playlist in here. And we will also make use of the YouTube data API. So let's first add this new video section. So what I'll do is I'll create a new component here, and we'll just call it videos. And inside we will just add a new template there. So what do we want for this page? So first of all, let's just create a section here. And basically, I think what we want is we want something similar to what we did at the top there. So similar to this, but just another section that's also like a kind of a full screen section there. And let's see, let's call this component videos. And inside, let's also give it a class. Remember, we're using Vuetify as our framework, so we can just do a dflex to say it's a flex container. We can again say flex column to make it the flex direction a column. And let's say in this case we don't want everything centered, so we want to justify start, and then we can align everything center, and we can make this a fluid container. Alright, so inside there, I want to put in a V container. So this is inside of our section. We want a container where we will have our actual content. And this is so that we can style this top section separately from this one here. So the top section or the parent section would be a fluid container, and the child one, the child container will be inside of a container. So there we will again have something like a title, and in this case it will be the videos title. And we also again want a description, I think. So let's just say description for now. Okay, then we are going to have some of our videos. So what I want to do there is I want to make a row here, and inside of the row, and again this is a Vuetify a helper tag within Vuetify. So we can just say let's just create this and say we want to align our videos at the start as well, and we want to justify start as well. So that will kind of make our videos at the top, and then this is where we'll add our videos. But first, let's just see how that looks. So let's just go back there, say refresh. So we don't see anything yet, and that is because we haven't actually added this new component to our index page. So let's add that quickly. So we'll add videos here, and we will import it the same we did with the portfolio. We'll call that videos, and we'll also add the component in here. So now if we go back, we should, let's just see why it's giving an error there. Oh, okay. It doesn't like it if there's multiple elements. It only wants one single root element. So we can just take these two components and put it inside of a div. If you're using Vue.js 3, this isn't an issue anymore, just so that you know. But we're still using Vue 2. So let's go back, and it should be here. Let's just see. There's definitely something there. Let's just do a quick inspect here. And there you can see there is our component, and inside of that there is 2 empty tags, and that's because we haven't actually given it any data yet. So let's go back there into our videos component and let's give it some data. So what we will do is we'll say data, again a data object there, and we will return an object with 2 properties. We'll return title, and we'll just call that videos for now, and then we'll have a description, and we'll just say some videos where I write some code and play with different technologies. Okay, so that's easy enough. I think what we also want to do is let's just see how that looks, if it's possible. Okay, cool. So there you can see there is our videos now, our next section, and it's cool that it is there. And as you can see, it's in a container here, so it's not on the left hand side there. So I'm gonna leave it like this. I actually like this. Maybe we can maybe we can play with the styling a little bit. So let's create just a scoped style section here, and we will use SCSS. And inside we have that component video, so we can reference that here. Just making sure that we're referencing correct here and selecting correct. So again, what I want is I want that container to be 100% of the viewport height. But what I also notice is that it's sometimes better to do something like this. Okay, so if we just go back now, then if we refresh, there you can see it takes up a whole section for itself, and this will allow us to fill it in now with nice content here, which is the next step. So what we can also do here is maybe just have this a different background color. So you remember, if it's currently using like the dark mode of Vuetify, which is fine, but if we go here to variables, we can actually create our own variable. So I want to say let's say secondary background, and we'll make that let's just say something like that. And we'll use this variable inside of our styling here just to say background color, and we'll use that variable inside there. And let's see, and there you can see it's now nice and different. It's not the same as the top one, so you can clearly see that there's something below there. So I like that. I think we're going to leave it like that for now, and maybe just add a little bit of padding here. So for the H1 we will just add maybe some let's say padding top of, let's say maybe 15 pixels. Maybe a little bit, actually I don't want padding, I actually want margin, and let's make that 25 pixels. That's 100%. And maybe we just want the font a little bit bigger, so we will say font size, and let's make that something like 48 pixels. I think I made the other one, let's just see, on the portfolio side, that font size, okay, I didn't actually touch that, so you can make that 48. And then, yeah, I'm quite happy. I would like this also to be a little bit bigger. So for the paragraph, we can then just say font size, and we can make that like 18 pixels. All right, that's a little bit better. And I think that's it. Now we can start filling this in with our videos. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to pull in videos and pass it through to this videos component that we use. It's not really necessary that you do it that way, but I just like it to keep everything kind of in its own component. So I think let's start with going back here and creating a yeah, first of all, what we'll have to do is we'll have to pull in the videos from YouTube, right? So inside of our script here, we will have to create a async data function. And the reason why we do that is we want to pull in this video IDs of the different videos in that YouTube playlist. We want to pull that in before the page loads. And the way you do that in Nuxt is using async data. So we're using an async data function, and inside of that we will just create a quick axios function, or axios get method. So I'm gonna say, let's just say results equals await axios, and this is where we actually start to use axios for the first time. So I'm gonna say import axios. If you remember, in our package.json we do have axios as a dependency here. So also it's already added in our Nuxt config as well as a module, because we selected this when we installed Nuxt. So that means we can just import it directly, and we can just say import axios from axios, so it knows it will use the axios module. And there we can just say dot, and there you can see it's now pulling in the axios functions here. So we can use the get function, and if you're not sure how it works, you can always read the docs here. So we will just use a get function there. So the first thing we'll need here, and you'll see here as well, is it says it's looking for a URL and then config. All right, so let's just create the URL variable here. And then we need to now pull these videos from YouTube. So if we go to the YouTube data API, let's just go there. All right. So here you can see this is the data API web page. I think if we go to reference here, you could actually see the different API endpoints here, or different types on the API. And what we're going to look for is playlists, or actually playlist items, because we're looking for the items inside of a specific playlist. And and you'll see there's different methods here: list, insert, update, delete. So we're just going to use list, because we just want to pull in playlist items. And here you can see here is the actual URL that we need. So I'm going to copy that, and if we go back to our code, you can then add that as the URL. So this is kind of our base URL if you want. And then what we also need to do is we need to add our key in here. So if you make, when you make any API calls, there's a couple of examples here, but you'll see they've got required parameters. They've got part here, but another required parameter is actually your API key. So if you are unsure on how to obtain an API key, basically all you need to do is go to GCP, Google Cloud Platform, and you just create an account here. Get started for free, and on here you'll see there's a API for YouTube. Let's just see here. YouTube data API. Just want to see where you can get that. But basically, if you have a GCP account, you can just sign in. You'll be able to go to APIs and select the YouTube data API, and it will give you an API key, which you can then use to make these queries. You will see it references the API key there. So if you are not using OAuth 2, you can add the key inside of your URL here, which is obviously not the best way. The best way would be to use OAuth 2 so that you don't expose your key. So what I've done is I actually have my key inside of my environment variables. So I will just say process.env .youtube API key. So this will actually be something like this. Key equals that. And then what we also need is we need to specify a part. So this is what we want. Here it says the part parameter specifies a comma separated list of one or more playlist item resource properties that the API response will include. So we need to say, do we want a snippet, an ID, a content details, or status? So we're going to go for snippet. And let's do that next. So we will say plus, and then we will say, we need to do a ampersand, and then say part equals snippet, and then we will say, we will add another variable here, or parameter, and we will call it, let's see, we want to add the playlist ID so that we give it the exact playlist that we want. Playlist ID parameter specifies the unique ID of the playlist for which you want to retrieve playlist items. Note that even though this is an optional parameter, every request to retrieve playlist items must specify either the ID parameter or the playlist parameter. So we're going to get the playlist ID, and let's see where we can get that. So let's go to YouTube. And let's just go to my channel, my own channel. That's my channel. And inside here we have some playlists. And let's see, which one has got a couple of videos? Let's use this playlist. So this is a playlist of a game I played. There's 3 videos inside. So let's see if we can get this playlist ID. And there at the bottom, you can already see that playlist ID. So, and also here at the top, so you can see it says list equals, and then it's got an ID there. That's how we know this is the playlist ID. So if we go back to our code, we can actually add that parameter there, playlist ID equals, and we can add, we're just going to hard code it. You know what? Let's add it here so that we can easily change that. Playlist ID. And let's also add the part snippet, and this will also be a string. So what we can do here is we can actually just, to make it easier, we can actually just do something like this. Okay, and again, this will be, sorry, this is wrong. This needs to be like this. Okay, so we've got our playlist ID, we've got our part, which is a snippet, we've got our key. Now we can actually make the API call. So we can go back to axios here, and we can say get the base URL, and then it's going to fetch those items, right? Let's just see if I can format this. Okay. This returns a promise, so we can use it then. And then we can just, let's say, call this result. And we can then look at this data that we get back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say console.log, and let's just print the result.data. Okay. So let's do that. Let's see what happens. If we go back to our website, let's just open the console here. Okay, let's just do this and let's refresh. Okay, there's an error. Snippet is not found. Snippet is not defined. Let's just go back. And that's because it should say part, not snippet. Okay, let's just go back and refresh. All right. Very cool. So here you can see there's our response items, and you can see it's an array, and inside is 3 items representing the 3 videos that we want. There's our snippet as well with the actual video details that we requested. We don't necessarily need the snippet. We could also have went for ID, and I think what it will do is it will only then return the video ID. There you can see resource ID and video ID inside there. Okay, so this is exactly what we want. Every time we go through this array, that is the response that we get, we want to see the resource ID and the video ID inside, because we want to print those videos here. All right, so let's go back to our code. Now what we want to do is we actually want to store this data that we get inside of results, but we actually want to just store that items array we get here. We don't need all of the other stuff. So let's go back here and we can say return result, which is now stored inside that variable. So return the results dot data, which is where Axios stores its result in, dot items, which is that items array that we just saw in the response. We can also add a catch here if we want, to say, catch any errors. It's not really necessary right now, but just for maybe debugging, we can do something like this and just say there was an error while fetching the videos, and we can print that. So basic function there to just fetch those videos from YouTube. Let's quickly then do something with these videos now. So what I want to do is I want to pass this to our videos component that we have. So let's do that. I think what we can do is, because this is an async function that runs before the page is loaded, we can then now say return, and we actually return an object of, let's call it videos, and we will use this results to populate our videos object. this videos object will now be available in our component or in our page, and we will pass it through to our videos component. I think this is how we do it. So we bind to this videos property that we have here. Now if we go to our videos component, again here we will now have to add a property for the videos. So we will have to add a props object here. So I will just say props, and inside there, just comma there, inside there we will have a videos property, obviously, or videos object. Its type is, if you remember correctly, it's an array, as we can see there, and we can then just say the type is array, and we can say required is true, which maybe we can say it's not required, then it will just be empty. Okay, so if that playlist gets deleted, we won't have any problems. So now we've got our videos here, and we can actually now start doing something with that, and that's where the fun actually starts now. So we know we've got an array, and what we can do here is let's just create a little inside our row we actually want columns, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little column for every video. So I think that will work well for now. We can always change it later. Okay, and then we can just do something like this, and we will just say calls equals 12. And then what we'll do is, let's just do this. Again, this is Vuetify's built-in properties that you can use. Let's just do that. And now what we'll do is we want to create one of these for every video. So what we'll do is we'll create a v4 here, and we'll say for every video in videos that we have there, and you'll see it complains here because it wants a bind key. So we can just bind on a key inside of there, and let's have a look what we can bind in. So it will be video, and then inside of video, let's look at our response here. So each video will be this little object here. We have our snippet, and inside we have our resource ID, and then we have this video ID which will be unique. So resource ID, video ID. So let's reference that as our key. So we will say dot snippet dot resource ID dot video ID, right? Then inside there we now actually have access to our video. And what I want to do there is do a standard YouTube embed for now. So if we go back to YouTube, you'll see that if you say copy embed code, it gives you like this little iframe. Let's just format this. It gives you this little iframe. So what I want to do is I want to use this, but instead of this video ID that it uses here, I want to add our video ID that we have there. So let's just say that, and we'll do this again. Okay, and then we'll add our video ID that we received. Let's just see why this isn't working. We want to do that. I'm not sure why this isn't working. Oh, okay. Yeah, this should actually be because we're binding against that. this should actually be like that. I guess we don't really have to. We can probably just do something like that, but it looks like it wants that. So there we go. What I want to do is I don't want this big height, so let's just make this like 315 and we'll make the width 100% so that it fills the column that we have here. The rest is just default YouTube. And let's see what happens. So let's go back to our page. Let's refresh the page. And nope, an error. Error is not defined. Okay, that is obviously on the main page where we add that error here. It's supposed to be error. Okay, let's have a look and see what happens now. Okay, we have our page and it says there was an error while fetching the videos. Cannot read property data of undefined. Okay, let's have a look there. So results is undefined. Let's quickly see why. Oh, okay. It should be result.data. We're inside the results variable, but we're using the result response, which is that we get from YouTube. So now let's go back, and there you see there's our videos. Excellent. So obviously what I'm going to do is I'm going to change these videos to our actual videos that we've created now in this tutorial series so far. But this is cool. You can see we've got videos and we can play it, and also we should have and there you can see, and we should have a kind of a responsive design here. So if we go smaller and if we go smaller, there we go, you can see it will work on the mobile as well. So if we kind of toggle, let's say a iPhone or something, let's just see here, can do something like that. And then you can see you have got the different videos here, and that looks okay. So we can obviously work on that, but I think that is pretty cool and it looks pretty well. So yeah, next time we'll build on this again, but I think for now it looks pretty cool, and I'll now replace these with the actual videos that we're making in this series. Awesome. Thanks guys, and talk to you next time. Bye.